This morning, we must remember that even though it doesn't seem that all things are working together for our good, if we're called by God, they are. I'm trying to get Facebook up at the same time here, and it's taking a little time for it to come on board. Today is the 9th of December, 2020, Wednesday morning, hop day. Are you hopping around? I know I'm kind of moving a little slow this morning myself. So we're kind of taking our time this morning, kind of trying to get the old juices flowing, as it were. Well, I've been looking at a lot of different things. There's so much information out there. There's so much information out there. Information about the Chinese having ships in Cuba, having military soldiers on the borders of Mexico, petitions, and when we look around us, it doesn't look very bright. And it would be easy for us to get discouraged. And this pandemic has affected everybody. It's affected everybody. It's had an effect upon our lives. It's affected our jobs because of these crazy wearing a mask. All these signs all over. Practice social distancing. We're all in this together. You have the power. On and on and on. It has an effect upon you after a while. You start buying into this world system, and then you have all of this bickering and fighting between the Republicans and the Democrats, between Biden and Trump, between McConnell and Pelosi. And then you have these wars and rumors of wars going on. It's kind of hard to keep perspective after a while, is it not? It's kind of hard to keep perspective. You say, wow, how can I go on? All of our businesses have been affected in one way or the other. Our whole mindset has changed. They call this the new normal, the new normal. There's nothing normal about this. It's abnormal. It's totally abnormal. It's perversion. That's what it is. It's evil. It's satanic. And I was looking at a broadcast last night. The gentleman has done a lot of research throughout the years, and it was amazing what he was relaying to information that he'd found. I'm not even going to go into all of it. It's too depressing. But back to our original premise, all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and to them that are the called according to his purpose. Well, that brings up another question that I've asked many times. A lot of people get all bent out of shape when I even ask the question. The question is, what has happened that God has not ordained? What has happened that God has not ordained? The Bible says he's over all things, and by him all things consist. Another question that I have is, what will happen in the future that God hasn't ordained? What will happen in the future that God has not ordained? If someone else has ordained it, then God is not God. I'm full of questions this morning. Another question I have is, what God has foreordained cannot be thwarted. Is that correct? If God has foreordained something, can it be thwarted by man? I think not. There's a lot of people that try to thwart God's will. You know, they try to thwart what they say. They try to change the will of God. God's will is unchangeable. God is not schizophrenic. He doesn't have two or three wills. Scripture says that he works all things after the counsel of his own will. That's hard for us to swallow sometimes. He works all things after the counsel of his own will. He doesn't work things after the counsel of our wills. We're not God. He's God, and there's none beside him. So this morning, that's what's on my mind. That all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, to them that are called according to his purpose. And God is in control. And we cannot manipulate or change God. We should be crying out to him daily for mercy and grace. We should be repenting when we find ourselves sucked into sin and the lust of the flesh. Have you ever been in a backslidden condition? I know I have. The only answer is to flee to the cross of Christ. He is our only hope. There's no such thing as perfection on the face of this earth. It doesn't exist. The only perfection is God himself. There are many times when we falter and fail him. But he's faithful to us when we're unfaithful. So that's the message this morning. Let us return to the bishop of our souls. And in the midst of all these trials and tribulations and this pandemic and everything associated with it, let us remember that what God has foreordained cannot be thwarted or changed. God bless.